Elon Musk's plan B on Twitter can wipe out many individuals, and most people still have no idea of what's coming next. The CEO of Tesla and SpaceX indicated that if the board of directors rejects his $43 billion acquisition bid, he already has a plan B in place. During the TED 2022 conference in Vancouver, Elon Musk announced that he had sufficient assets and could technically afford to acquire Twitter. You already know that the guy is worth an estimated $270 billion. TED's main curator inquired about Elon's plans if he did get his offer approved at the current bid amount to purchase Twitter, the social media behemoth. But the question now is, can Twitter afford to reject Elon's bid and then face Elon's plan B? Well, let's get some more context here. As of now, Musk is Twitter's second top shareholder, right after the powerful and gigantic Vanguard Group. Elon went to Twitter with a proposal to purchase all of the company's remaining shares, which Twitter disclosed in a regulatory filing on Thursday. In response, the company's board of directors has indicated that it would now look into the offer, just because it has no other choice. Musk has stated that if shareholders choose to accept his proposal, he will have the authority to veto any decision made by the board at his discretion. CEO of SpaceX and well known for his social media antics, Elon Musk stated that he had invested in Twitter because he believes it has the potential to be the medium for free speech around the globe. Elon believes that free expression is an essential prerequisite for a functioning democracy. The reality is that the corporation in its existing structure will not be able to both grow and fulfill this societal demand, as Elon discovered after making his investment. So he believes that Twitter ought to become a private company. And on the other hand, the Twitter board of directors says that it will carefully consider the proposal and determine the course of action that it believes is in the best interest of the company and all Twitter stockholders. But here is why it gets even more interesting. So, if Twitter rejects Musk's offer, which the company cannot afford to do due to a generous exit payout, he may pursue investors by asking for proxy votes or purchasing their shares at a discount. Some sources say that Tesla's CEO has made a hostile takeover bid for Twitter, in which he seeks to buy 100% of the business's stock and turn it into a private company. And why are they calling it a hostile takeover, you might ask? Well, an offer like Musk's, which was made without the board's approval, may be classified as a hostile takeover in this context. A takeover can be conducted through a battle to replace the company's leadership, or as Musk did, by submitting a takeover bid and the subsequent attempt to buy the necessary stock on the open market. Elon Musk wants to purchase the social media network for $43 billion. He claims that it's necessary for the company, which he has publicly scolded on several occasions, to become private to make significant reforms. And even though Elon Musk has submitted a bid to purchase Twitter, the company's board of directors has the opportunity to reject Musk's offer if it chooses to. So what can happen next if the initial offer is eventually rejected? Then it's time for Elon's plan B. The board of directors rejects Musk's tender offer. He may appeal to the shareholders who approve his offer. Moreover, it's important to note that shareholders are more likely to accept a tender offer if it represents a significant premium to market value, or if they are unsatisfied with the company's current management team. Musk might become embroiled in a proxy battle in which two groups of investors attempt to persuade other shareholders to enable them to use their proxy votes to benefit from them. If the Tesla's CEO were to get a sufficient number of proxies, he might use them to vote for his proposal bid to be approved. But Twitter, on the other hand, has put precautions in place to protect the company from being acquired by an opposing party. Twitter's policies restrict the ability of shareholders to call for special meetings or make decisions during investor meetings. Also available are preferred shares, which provide chosen shareholders with greater voting power than regular ones. Because Twitter has not yet responded to the situation, it is impossible to say how many preferred shares were actually issued. If the management has control over a significant enough portion of the shares with more voting power, preferred shares or stocks with unequal voting rights make it more challenging to obtain the votes necessary to complete a hostile takeover of the company. And as if that is not enough, a poison pill may be also implemented by Twitter's board of directors, which would prevent Musk or any other entity from acquiring further shares, although this would undoubtedly annoy investors. For its part, it's generally anticipated that Twitter would turn down Elon Musk's generous offer to acquire the social media company. And so, if the company's board of directors rejects the Tesla CEO's hostile takeover proposal, he will have to decide whether or not he wants to continue upping the stakes in his attempted hostile acquisition of the company. But the biggest decision before the Twitter board of directors today is whether or not to accept a highly lucrative acquisition offer for a firm that has been a chronic underperformer and has a history of treating its customers with apathy. Furthermore, Twitter has come under scrutiny for its arbitrary suppression of accounts that don't adhere to a given political narrative, the randomness with which it validates users, and how it differentiates between phony and legitimate accounts. Twitter's been a chronic underperformer for a long time in areas ranging from customer service to the monetization of its user base, and this trend has continued for years. Perhaps a shift in the status quo is not bad after all. Whatever your feelings on Musk, there is little doubt that he would create a stir, with the only question being whether he would aggravate or improve the situation. Of course, he can do both. It is Elon Musk. And again, in light of the likelihood that Twitter's board of directors would reject the bid, the question arises as to whether Musk would attempt to acquire the company through a hostile takeover. When Elon Musk made his offer, he had limited confidence in the company's current management. He did not believe he could make the necessary adjustments while Twitter was still a public company, especially its free speech values. We now understand why Musk declined to serve on the board of directors on Twitter. One could argue that Twitter cannot afford to turn down Musk's offer, arguing that the offer, which is 18% higher than Twitter's stock ended on Wednesday and approximately 38% higher than shares were trading before Musk declared his position, is too good to pass up given the current market conditions. Consequently, the management is in a challenging position and the rejection would be a catastrophic mistake. But although Musk's proposal is lower than Twitter's 52-week high, it's unlikely that the company will get a stronger offer. And if Musk's bid is rejected, Twitter's reputation as a potential takeover contender for a new investor would improve. However, the one thing you should know about Elon is that unlike most people, he does not behave in predictable ways. Because you can ask yourself this: is he serious about this? Is this just a game? Or is there anything more going on? Are his actions motivated by pure amusement and an attempt to make a statement about free speech by holding management accountable? Or does he truly wish to own, control, and operate Twitter? It serves as a reminder to shareholders that in contrast to the majority of IT firms and even most media organizations, there is no controlling shareholder in this case, so Twitter can be bought. Elon Musk's plan B in action. But in the end, it turns out that Musk couldn't care less about how much money Twitter makes if he cares about anything at all. Instead, he concentrates on developing a very trustworthy and broadly inclusive public platform, which he believes is quite important to the survival of civilization. He also claimed that he hopes to retain as many Twitter investors as possible by means of a private company structure. After all, his aggressive takeover bid did not provide him with many choices because he could not acquire more than 14.9% of the company's stock. On the other hand, he has a limited number of alternatives at his disposal, and so it seems that Musk would have to sweeten his best and last offer to persuade some Twitter shareholders to consider the acquisition seriously. Do you think Elon Musk will eventually own Twitter? Let us know in the comment section below, and see you in the next video.